Our last presenter is Ms. Dolores Adams with the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so Dolores is going to cover the Redevelopment and Housing Authority's information. Then we'll have some time to allow for you all to engage with some of the speakers and vendors here today. So Dolores, please come forward.
So good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning anyway. As Brian introduced me, I am Dolores Adams from the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and I want to tell you a little bit about how to do business with the Housing Authority. The great thing is the City of Portsmouth gave us a great EVA introduction, which is awesome because that just carries right into my presentation. This is our team here at the Housing Authority. We have our executive director, Mrs. Elisa Winston, that's over there at the table. And these are our board of commissioners who at the Housing Authority. Because when I tell people who are we, they get us confused. They think we're part of the City of Portsmouth. We are not part of the City of Portsmouth. We're actually what is called an independent political subdivision of the state. Commonwealth, we're in Virginia. We are actually the first housing authority in the state, in the Commonwealth, and we are governed by that board of commissioners that was on the first page, and they are actually appointed by Portsmouth City Council, so that is our connection with the city. Funding for our two areas of operations, which are redevelopment and housing, come primarily through federal and private resources. We have very little, if any, city or state money that comes to the Housing Authority. Our mission at PRHA is served through our redevelopment and housing programs. We want to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing opportunities to low and moderate income families in the city of Portsmouth. We try to eliminate blight and underutilized properties throughout the city. Portsmouth is 33 square miles. So obviously, we're not a huge city, so that means we have to reuse our land to the highest and best uses so that we can make sure our community is sustainable. We always aim to increase the tax base through redevelopment because we have redevelopment and commercial taxes and all that money. It helps the people so that your property and real estate taxes don't have to be so high, right? And we also try to develop opportunities for low to moderate income families to realize home ownership, because we know home ownership is a great way to build family wealth. Here's an example of one of our redevelopment efforts. This was, those of you from Portsmouth may know or may not know, this was the former Virginia Employment Commission. The Housing Authority purchased that building, we owned it. It's approximately 10,000 square feet. We redeveloped it into our PRHA headquarters. This is our admin building. We pay real estate taxes on it. And after putting in over $1 million in renovations, we came up with this great LEED certified energy efficient business. And best of all, there's free parking. If you work, you go downtown, you work in the city, there's not free parking. There's free parking here for employees and visitors. Hey, I said the same thing. This is another redevelopment project. It's our Lexington Place redevelopment. It was formerly Lincoln Park. Now it is 72 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. It was developed in partnership with investors. It's constructed by Breeden and other subcontractors. Got that word right, subcontractors, right? This project had over $18 million in construction costs. So obviously there's a lot of contracts that went out with that, right? On our housing program side, we have over 1,100 units of low-income public and assisted housing throughout the city of Portsmouth. And we actually have a project under construction now called Lexington Seniors, and I'm going to tell you about that a little bit later. We also administer 2,700 housing choice vouchers. Some people know it as Section 8 program. Here's an example of some of our PRHA communities that you may not have known or PRHA. Westbury, Seaboard Square, and Hamilton Place. And getting on the procurement side, I want to tell you a little bit about our governing regulations. As I mentioned before, we're primarily funded through HUD. So we must adhere to both federal and state procurement regulations. And let me tell y'all, they don't match, okay? They really don't. So usually we have to go with the most stringent of the two because we have to find out what's the most stringent, and then that takes precedence. And we also had to put together our own procurement policy based on these federal and state regulations. So it's a wonder we're not schizophrenic at PRHA. But our HUD regs come from 2 CFR 200 subpart D. So anyone that does any federal procurement, be it for the Housing Authority or any other federal entity, you're gonna have to follow 2 CFR part 200. And HUD gave us a handbook that is so outdated it doesn't apply to anything now, but we still have to use it. Then we have to follow the state regulations from Title 2.2, subtitle B, blah, 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 blah. It's also known as the Virginia Public Procurement Act. So we have to follow that. And the state gives you a manual, and I must admit, if you want to know how to do business with state and local agency, this procurement manual is awesome. The state keeps it up to date, and you can find great information there. Then we have our own PRHA procurement policy. And that idea is we want to make sure that in our procurement actions that we provide fair and equitable treatment to everyone, all persons and the firms involved. We want to ensure that the supplies and services and equipment and constructions we get are procured efficiently, effectively, and at the most favorable prices available. Hey, these are taxpayer monies, dollars. We want to make sure we're getting a good value for those taxpayer dollars. We want to provide safeguards for maintaining a procurement system of quality and integrity, because if you think the fix is in, you're not gonna respond to our solicitations. So we need you to respond because we need vendors. So we want to make sure that we uphold our procurement standards to the highest level possible. And we want to assure that our procurement actions are in compliance with all these federal standards, HUD, regs, Virginia laws, because if we don't do that right, oop, I hit the wrong thing, we're gonna get ourselves in some big trouble with the those Fed people I was telling you about. So what do we need? What do we buy? We have vendors for everything. I used to tell people, they said, what do you buy at the Housing Authority? I said, I buy everything from pens and pencils, buildings and land, and sometimes people through the form of temporary services. So you name it, we buy it, okay? So we ask people to buy goods, services, and construction, both new construction and rehab. I don't know what that is. Someone talked about their thresholds. We have thresholds here at the Housing Authority. Let me go back, okay. Voila, magic, I love technology. Okay, so we have our procurement thresholds as well as the city and school system. We're a little different. Our micro purchases, which we go up to $10,000, anything under $10,000, because this is based on a combination of federal and state regs. Our small purchases go up to $150,000, and anything greater than $150,000 we call a large purchase. I call it a large purchase. So micro purchases. Okay. Micro purchases? Okay. Micro purchases. Items less than $10,000, they're usually obtained by one quote if the price is considered reasonable. However, I always tell our staff, would you buy anything for your house just getting one quote? Tell me who will do that. Raise your hand, you'll do that. Okay, right. So I tell them, ask somebody else too. Get a second quote just so that you know that that number is reasonable. Go Google it. You know, we love Dr. Google, right? So, and this is also a great opportunity to distribute our purchases equitably among our small women and minority business vendors, because we want it to go, we don't want to just give all of these smaller purchases to the same vendor, because then they're gonna hit our threshold. We want to make sure we use several different vendors that can provide these different items. So this is a great opportunity for our smaller businesses here. Our small purchases, Those are goods and services estimated to be in excess of $10,000, but under $150,000. And we usually do this as a quotation for small purchase, and otherwise known as a quote. And so what we do is it's a written, we try to put it in writing. Sometimes you may get a phone call, but normally we put it in writing because we want to make sure everyone is hearing the same thing and that you're all quoting on the same thing. So we use at least 4 quotes, and we always post them on EVA. So as everyone mentioned before, if you're not registered for EVA, you need to get registered for EVA because we use EVA to post all our solicitations. Our large purchases in excess of $150,000 and most constructions purchases, we use formal procurement methods. And they're either procured by invitation for bid, a request for proposals, or request for qualifications. And as I said before, all these requirements have to be in writing. And you usually have to respond to our bid and proposals within a specific time and follow the instructions that we actually put out there. And so, and you ask, what's an invitation for bid? This is like, and I just love the city of Portsmouth's description of an IFB. This is when most of the time it's almost always used for construction projects, but it's also used for goods and services if we know exactly what we want. And if it is construction services, if it's over $100,000 and we have to do an independent estimate, we're going to require a bid bond. And but the contract you're going to get is going to be a fixed price contract awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. As we said, it's posted on EVA. We also posted on the PRHA website. And these bids are open publicly and our awards are posted. But let me say something about the contract and the responsive and responsible bidder. I just want to say that because these bids are open publicly, people see, they actually see the amounts that everyone bid, and they assume they're going to get the award. But we do this responsibility review, and although on paper your number may be the lowest, if you're not responsible or responsive, then we have to go to the next lowest bidder. So I just wanted to provide some clarity there. And what is a bid bond? It's a negotiable bid guarantee. So that tells us that you said you're going to do this project for $175,000. You're going to provide us with a bond, a guarantee that is 5% of that bid amount. And it's due at the time you submit that bid. It can be a certified check, bank draft, or a surety bond. And it's, like I said, most construction contracts over $100,000, we do ask for that at the Housing Authority. So I'm going to give you all some secrets. Shh. Number 1, don't be intimidated by the size of the solicitation. You open that bad boy up and it's got 100 pages in it and you close it up because you're like, I ain't gonna bother with this. Let me assure you, many of these documents are required forms. So just read the document and you'll see the meat and potatoes, okay? Pay special attention to the bid checklist. It tells you how your bid needs to be put together and what is required. So we give you a step-by-step bid checklist. And make sure you're registered and familiar with EVA before the due date. Because, the last one, don't be late. Because if you wait till the due date to try to get registered for EVA or figure out how to use it, then you're going to be late. And EVA will shut you down. If you try to put something in after that time, it goes nowhere. So make sure you are familiar with it, with EVA. They're great people with their customer service. So if you need help, they'll help you step by step to get you to put your bid through them. Because we actually do accept our bids and proposals through EVA. So make sure you're familiar with it. And one side here, we don't need our bid document back. We have often people submit bids to us and they submit us back our same bid document. Let me assure you, we have it. We don't need it back, okay? So when you look at the bid checklist and follow us on the bid checklist, that's all you need to send back. You don't have to send us back our whole solicitation. Okay. Request for proposals. We usually use RFPs to procure services. You can use it for other things, but it's almost always used for services. It's going to be on EVA and the PRHA website for at least 14 days, usually longer. And this is something that we want to stress, the importance of price, but other technical evaluations factors. It's not just about price like the IFB. This is really heavy in the technical evaluation, your experience, showing what you can do, that you can meet, you can put together the proposal that responds to the questions that we ask. Because everything is weighted. We give a weight to each of these different areas. We have an evaluation committee made up of Housing Authority employees that will review your technical evaluation, your technical proposal, not just the price. And it is totally confidential until after award. So we can't say who sent the proposal, how many proposals we got, what's in them. All that information is confidential until an award is made. Secrets number 2. Someone said it. I think all the presenters said it. Read the entire document. Please read the document and pay special attention to the evaluation factors, because the evaluation factors in the RFP are what you're going to be, what will determine whether or not you're going to score high enough to move to what we call the competitive range. Answer the questions asked. A lot of times people may send a proposal that's a little heavy. They say, well, you gave us a 100-page document. We're going to give you 100 pages back. We don't want that. And we definitely don't want a 100-page document that includes information we didn't ask for. So please make sure you answer the questions that were asked. And organize your proposal as instructed in the checklist. We provide a checklist. It says tab 1, tab 2, and then it tells you what you need to put behind tab 1 and tab 2. Include the tabs in your proposals. Now that we're accepting bids electronically, people may do when they upload their proposals, they may have a sheet of paper that says tab 1, so that everything we know that's tab 1, and a sheet of paper that says tab 2. So that's how you do it electronically. But let me assure you, if an evaluator is expecting to see something under tab 1 or tab 2 or tab 3 and it's not there, they're not going to flip through your proposal to look for it. They're just going to assume you didn't respond to that, and you will not score as high as you would if everything was where it was supposed to be. And sign your proposal and include a cover letter. Often people forget that simple thing, to introduce yourself to the Housing Authority so we'll know who you are, and you tell us how great you are and how you can best meet our needs. A request for qualification is one of those strange little hood things that they call it. The state calls it a qualification-based solicitation, or RFP with qualifications. But we have to use request for qualifications in hood when we do solicitations. And this solicitations don't apply to hardly anyone. It's only used for, we can only use it for architectural engineering firms and developer partners when we're doing redeveloping some of our communities. So I'm not gonna spend any more time on that. And then we have certain HUD requirements. Because we are a housing authority and federally funded, we have to abide by these rules. One of them is Davis-Bacon wages. And that means any of our construction contracts or contracts that include construction activities in excess of $2,000 must abide by the Davis-Bacon wages. That means there are minimum wages that are set by the Department of Labor on what we can pay people. So when our contractors put in a bid, then they have to make sure that when you do your costs for that bid to put together your pricing, you have to make sure you include at least the minimum wages for Davis-Bacon. A lot of times you're paying your people higher, but you cannot pay them less. Because Davis-Bacon has this great thing called restitution. And if they find out that you didn't pay people what they were supposed to get paid, guess what? They make you pay them. So, and we actually issue the Davis-Bacon wage determination as part of our documents. Like I said, it may look like it's a lot of pages, but a lot of it is informational. It's not things that you have to do. Things you have to do. It's just things you have to know. And then they also have the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act for construction contracts in excess of $100,000, and that's about overtime pay. So we have these rules. Our next requirement is Section 3. And Section 3 came from it's called Section 3 because it came from the Housing and Community Development Act of 1968, which was amended again in 1992, which they just changed again about 2 or 3 years ago. But the premise is the same. Anytime we award these federal contracts that's funded through using these federal funds, we have to ensure that low-income residents in our communities, in the city of Portsmouth, in the Hampton Roads area, have the opportunity to participate in these contracts. So, and a lot of times, people may already have people working for them. Your subcontractors may have people working for them. Your contractors may have people working for them. And they don't even know that they're Section 3 because unless you've done work for a housing authority, you may not know what Section 3 is. It has nothing to do with race. It's strictly about income. If you have an employee or you're a business owner and you're making less than, that employ people that make less than $56,400 a year, guess what? You have a Section 3 employee. And you have enough of those, you have a Section 3 business. So we actually have forms that HUD has given us as of late last year, new forms, that you can self-certify as a business owner or as an employee that you make, that you have employees that make less than $56,400. That's one person. It has nothing to do with their household like the previous rules did. This is strictly that employee that's working on this contract. And they have to work on this contract because what HUD looks at now is how many labor hours they actually put in on this contract. So you just can't say, I got 10 employees that make under this, so I'm a Section 3 business. They have to be 10 employees that's working on this particular contract that you have for the housing authorities. And so, because they want to ensure that you take affirmative steps towards job training or employment opportunities. Another requirement is insurance. It's not strictly a HUD requirement, but I just wanted to make sure you know we look at require comprehensive general liability, workman's comp, and automobile insurance for all of our contracts, be it service, construction. So just make sure you are aware of that. And I want to give you some more secrets, some keys to success. But it's already been said plenty of times here this morning. Attend the pre-bid and pre-proposal meetings and site visits. You find out all types of information. Now we do a lot of those virtually, and so we do record them. And when we put out an addendum, we usually try to put the link to the recording, but it's nothing like being there and hearing it for yourself at that time. Next, I want you to ask questions, but they got to be in writing. We don't take questions over the phone because, as was mentioned earlier, we have to put these out as a form of addendum to ensure everyone is provided the same information. We can't do anything that has the appearance of giving someone the edge over the other vendors. So we put out addendums in writing so everyone gets the answers at the same time. So that's why we ask you to submit your questions in writing. And we ask that you pay close attention to the addendums. They usually provide clarifications. And because almost always, we have some FAQs, and these are questions that we got. And then it really does help provide some clarification, because we write these solicitations, we put this information out there, and to us they're perfect. They say everything we want to say, but to you as a prospective offerer or bidder, there are some holes, and we need you to show us those holes so that we can send out that information to you in the form of an addendum. And lastly, don't assume. Do not assume anything. If you're not sure, ask the question, because we don't want you to make an assumption that will keep you from receiving a contract. So no question is a bad question. Just ask any question if you want some more information about anything. We just like pretty pictures, and these are some of our PRHA projects, our communities. And this is our contact list. We have Ms. Yolanda Buck, who's our procurement manager, and Ms. Lynette Blow, the procurement specialist, that are here at our table, and they are here to answer all of your questions that you're gonna have after my wonderful presentation. And they have some goodies for you. They have, we got you a little cheat card that's gonna show the PRHA website and EVA website, because we wanna get you all registered with EVA. We have a list that shows all of our future solicitations. This is a great list. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. We currently have a solicitation on the street right now for demolition of a house, a huge house, at 5315 High Street. So they have some information on that. And last but definitely not least, we have a project, as I mentioned, Lexington Senior Apartments coming up. And our builder, Breeden, had a contract to hire event on Saturday. It's over, I know, it's over. But I can assure you, they did not hire all the subcontractors they needed on Saturday. So please pick up this flyer so that you can make contact with the Breeden and their contractors, so that you can, their subcontractors, so that you can maybe participate in our Lexington Seniors project. So all of that's over at the PRHA table over there with those beautiful young ladies sitting there. And thank you all. Oh.
Thanks, Dolores. Dolores always does a great job, and she brought the secrets today, so I hope you took notes on that. If you didn't, we are recording this presentation, and each of the presenters will have their portion available on the city's YouTube channel. So if you need to rewatch this to revisit the information they shared, or if perhaps a colleague or business partner of yours wasn't able to attend, if you go to the city's YouTube channel, that will be uploaded there and will be available. If we could just thank all of our presenters again one last time. I'd also like to thank the partners that we have with us today here in attendance. Almost 30 additional public and private entities have participated in this event today. They are in the lobby. They're here in this room. I would ask you all to take advantage of the time that you have here today, having them all in one place, to have a conversation with them. It sounds like many have a listing of upcoming procurement opportunities that may be of interest to you. And lastly, thank you, our business community. We're really appreciative of everything that you do on behalf of each of the agencies that attended today. We really rely upon you. I think as we touched on, the city can't run, our public school systems can't run, the Housing Authority can't run and do what it needs to do without qualified partners, businesses providing services and goods. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your interest in these opportunities. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We will have the space open till 2 p.m. today, so we actually finished ahead of time. So please take the next hour and a half, hour 15 minutes, and meet everybody who's here in attendance today. Thank you again. I hope you have a great afternoon.